What is up, fellas, and welcome to another episode of Rewriting History with me, the Goob. Is that not plugged in? It is plugged in, but it's not. There we go. Light on. Today, I've got more NAGPRA content for you guys. I know some of you guys are tired of hearing about NAGPRA, but it's something I'm passionate about. I think it is, something that people would care about if they knew about. Everyone is so worked up over Göbekli Tepe, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think people are appropriately worked up over Göbekli Tepe, but that is one site that is not getting excavated, one site that is at risk of being destroyed. We are talking about an entire nation's history and archaeology that is under attack from NAGPRA. So today I've got a video, people who are archaeologists who are working with NAGPRA, who are bragging about what they've done with NAGPRA. This is them gloating about what they've accomplished, the good that they've done with NAGPRA. So we're going to listen to them in their own words to give you guys an idea of the insanity that is actually being undertaken under the guise of NAGPRA, or the Native American Graves Repatriation and Protection Act, for those of you who don't know what it is. It was once a law that had likely good intentions to offer a balance of respect between the natives and scientists' ability to conduct science, but that has completely been bastardized, and it is now just being used as a weapon to completely destroy and erase all of American history and archaeology. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just hear it from their own mouths. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And here we go. The beginning, it's going to give a little bit of a background. It's going to start a little bit slow. And as we go on, it's just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. And you're going to be like, did they really just say that out loud? But let's...
in that collection, there's also ethnographic materials. And as Chris so dutifully pointed out, that collection is really an art collection masquerading as an ethnographic collection. The point here is that we never had PhD archaeologists and anthropologists going out and systematically collecting the kinds of, in the ways that, say, the Field Museum, the Smithsonian, the American Museum, and other places had, in which thousands upon thousands of ancestors and sacred objects and funerary objects were.
So right off the bat, he's framing this as, we are good because we have not conducted archaeology. We're good archaeologists because we don't have artifacts and remains, which is what archaeology is. He's condemning the people who are actually conducting archaeology. That is just the tone in the stance right off the bat here. So, oopsies. There we go.
Coming back to the institution. That just wasn't our history. It's not to say that we don't have work to do and haven't done a lot of work. It is to say that our history is unique. The law is passed in 1990, and I'll go over this in just a second. And then what I'll argue is that the modern era begins in about 2006.
So like I said, initially the law, it had arguably good intentions, was a good law, but it has been corrupted so thoroughly now. It's gone through a few phases of expanding its powers, like you just pointed out in 2006. But the most recent one, which was the reason for this meeting. So this meeting is happening before the update. They're aware that an update is coming, but they don't know what it's going to contain. So they're overviewing NAGPRA in preparation for this update. That's what this is. So all of this is before the update in 2024, which massively, pretty much gave NAGPRA limitless power, truly limitless power. It expanded it to literally everything. And you're going to, again, hear this from his own mouth in this presentation. So, NAGPRA's gone through a few stages, and most recently this year, the most ridiculous one that has just completely broken this law and made it so that all of American history is under threat.
And there's a whole bunch of people named NAGPRA, but really the modern era starts in about 2006. So in 2008, Chip Caldwell and I and Isabel Tovar, the collections manager, Chip was the previous curator, submitted to senior leadership and the trustees new repatriation policies. And in that, we argued, and the institution accepted, and the trustees accepted, that repatriation is a human rights issue. It's not.
This is not about science. This is not about archaeology. This is a human rights issue. They have to repatriate the remains and the artifacts. It's a human rights issue. Just think about, this is the mindset that these people are in.
property law. It's not an issue of whether or not the museum has legal title to these things. It is a human rights issue. And the principles that we use to inform this policy include justice, diversity, equity, access, and inclusion. That's written in the policy that was accepted by the
justice, diversity, equity, access, and inclusion. It is written into the policy. He's saying it right forward. Right? They're proud of this. They're proud of this. So again, this isn't about science. This isn't about archaeology. This is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is about woke victim narratives. This is the mindset that the people who are actually operating these things, who are working with NAGPRA, who are enforcing these things, this is the mindset that they have. These are the people, these are the archaeologists, like the people who are supposed to be doing the work of archaeology. They are quite literally working on destroying archaeology from the inside. It's insane. Oh, geez, closed the wrong tab. Give me a second as I accidentally closed the window, so give me a second. I got to fix that. I just have to find my spot again in the video and share the screen. Okay. And there's ads now, so patience, fellas. My apologies. All right.
But for a federally recognized tribe to have a successful claim, they have to demonstrate that they have some cultural affiliation with the collections and ancestors that are represented there. This is a really murky topic. And in the law, it says that you have to evaluate 10 lines of evidence. I mean the institution, have to evaluate 10 lines of evidence in order to make a cultural affiliation determination. Those lines of evidence include archaeological, biographical, geographical, biological, geographical, and anthropological.
So this is what used to be considered, but as of this update, as of 2024, this next part is...
It also includes folklore, history, kinship data, linguistic data, oral tradition, and other expert opinion.
So now, any archaeological data, biological data, geographical data, or anthropological data that contradicts any folklore, history, kinship, linguistic, oral tradition, or other expert opinion, which means any elder of a tribe or any chief, that now is legally takes precedent. It is actually written into the law that if the science, the actual science, contradicts anything that these elders say or their folklore or anything like that, that you have to give deference to the Native American opinion. So all of the science is irrelevant if someone, so basically what this means is if you have an artifact and a tribe goes, hey, that's ours, and the scientists go, well, can you prove it? Because you're located on the totally opposite side of the country. There's no genetic similarities between you, and the artifact style, the culture style is completely different from your tribe. The tribe can go, nope, it's ours, and now all of that science is completely irrelevant. You legally have to defer to the opinion of the tribe. It takes precedence. This has been written into the law as of 2024. So I think there's just a little.
The reason that I separated these two into 2 bullet points is because for many years, many institutions and scientists, people like me, have hidden behind these 4 lines of evidence while not taking into account those 6, especially.
And now these ones are legally irrelevant. The actual science has been made lawfully irrelevant.
Other expert opinion. One way that you can read other expert opinion is elders, religious practitioners, and others. So institutions have long hidden behind these.
So just anyone in the tribe of any significance can just come up and say whatever they want, and that takes precedence over the science. That is the status before even the 2024 update, which made it even worse. Let's move on to the next part here.
Address these issues. It's a partially funded mandate. Museums, tribal nations oftentimes don't have a lot of money to address this. So
the quick point there, it's a partially funded mandate, which there's a lot of museums that have been closing down lately. And this is the reason why. The new expansion to NAGPRA this year has massively increased the financial burden on these museums. And there's no funding for it from the federal government. The museums are entirely financially responsible for the burden themselves. So the reason that so many museums are closing, they're not directly saying it's NAGPRA, but it's NAGPRA. All right.
Also may have heard people say that NAGPRA and repatriation is a threat to science. It's patently not. It's required a reframing of science.
So he offers absolutely no explanation before or after this. He just goes, it's patently not a threat to science. It absolutely is. Their mission statement here is to destroy the science of archaeology. They want to return absolutely everything to these tribes. They want it so that there is nothing left to study. They think that studying this stuff is immoral. It's wrong. It's a human rights issue. So their mission is quite literally to destroy archaeology. And here he just says with no reasoning, no, it's no threat at all. It is an absolute existential threat. It is the biggest threat. And it's not just to American archaeology, as we'll hear him, talk about this. They're trying to do this across the entire world. Everyone's worrying about Göbekli Tepe. You're about to not have any archaeology whatsoever, and none of you are even paying attention to it. NAGPRA is the real issue here. NAGPRA is so much bigger.
And illustrate a couple of key points. One, that NAGPRA is an ongoing process, that it is never done. Two, that we honor the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law. And three, that we have an obligation to be proactive rather than passive or reactive.
All three of those points, just absolutely insane. In fact, I'm going to replay them one by one.
Law and not two, that NAGPRA is an ongoing process. That
it's an ongoing process. It never ends. So no matter how much they return, it will never be enough. He's again openly saying this. It never ends. All right. There's never enough that can be returned. Point number two.
It is never done. Two, that we honor the spirit of the law.
I skipped over a little bit earlier. I've broken this up into a bunch of portions, and I actually skipped a little far ahead. They talked about the spirit of the law a bit earlier. The spirit of the law, as the Department of Interior has now interpreted it, they have made clear that the spirit of the law, under its current interpretation, has zero interest. Zero, not even interest. It has absolutely nothing to, there's zero consideration in any way towards science with this law and the ability to conduct science. The exclusive reason for this law's existence is to repatriate artifacts, to take away the artifacts from archaeologists and to return them to Native Americans. So again, he wants to represent the spirit of the law, not just how it's written. They need to go above and beyond the already insane regulations written into this law. They need to take everything.
And not the letter of the law. And three, that we have an obligation to be proactive rather than passive or reactive.
Again, just, highlighting, like, it's not enough to just return the artifacts. They that when they're asked, they have to actively be trying to get rid of anything and everything. It's like a furniture going out of business sale.
So I'm going to talk about an ongoing claim we're working with right now with the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, represented by the Onondaga Nation. So you may be more familiar with the term Iroquois or Iroquois Confederacy. So the Haudenosaunee occupy lands in what is today now New York and Canada, and a little bit in Oklahoma. And in 1995, the Grand Council of Haudenosaunee chiefs issued a statement that saying all medicine faces and corn husk faces are sacred. Medicine faces are wooden.
So if you just heard that in 1960 or whatever it was, 1990, whenever it was, a chief decided retroactively that all the masks are sacred now. Listen to what else he has to say, because it gets even crazier.
Masks used by medicine societies for individual and community healing. And corn husk faces have similar uses among Haudenosaunee medicine societies. They're not owned by individuals, but they are owned by the medicine societies to whom those medicine faces and corn husk faces belong. So in that statement, the Haudenosaunee Grand Council of Chiefs said that medicine faces and museum collections used formerly in medicine society performances, copies of medicine society faces and corn husk faces, as well as those that were made for sale, are all sacred the moment they are created.
Okay, did you hear that? So the law is literally, and this is again before the expansion, which gave them even more ability to do crazy things like this. But at any point in time, any chief or elder or whatever in any tribe can just go up and go, hey, all this shit, it's sacred now. It's retroactively sacred. All this art that we made and sold for profit, That's now sacred. It all has to be returned to us. And if I played that for 2 more seconds, he says, and we have to now return it all. In fact, let me play that, just the last 2 seconds of that clip. Why, there it is.
And therefore, museums that hold them, whether it is one used for healing ceremonies, a copy of one used for healing ceremonies, or one made for sale, must be repatriated.
Must be repatriated. So because someone said it, someone just dictates, hey, this is all sacred now. Doesn't even, it's art, the art we sold for profit, it now all needs to be repatriated. It must be. And this has been used, again, even before the update, to demand literal human shit back. Literal fossilized human feces, doo-doo caca, is sacred. And they whoa, don't argue with them. Insane people. Truly insane people.
There are no slides or images of the medicine faces or the corn husk faces because they are not to be seen, used, handled, or otherwise interacted with by anybody who isn't a member of those medicine societies. So that means we will also destroy any images that we have of them in the collection.
So this is something that I want to talk about for a minute, and it's really, really important. You just heard him say that they're not allowed to have any images. They'll destroy all of the images. And I've talked about how they've taken down images, but there's another important thing here is, right, he talked about how NAGPRA is never done. It's never done. And they're going to explicitly talk about how what's sacred now might not be, or what's not sacred now might be sacred later, right? And they understand this. So they don't want any images of anything that might be sacred up. But they don't know what might become sacred later, which means that any and all images of literally anything, because again, even human shit can be sacred, right? Even human fucking shit can be sacred. So they have to take down the images of everything. And this has been widely implemented across the country. And you can not find any images. There's a few exceptions here and there, but largely speaking, like 99% of the images of artifacts that were available online a year ago, they're all gone now. They're all gone now because of NAGPRA and insane individuals like this. Where am I at? 2456. Okay. I think
Collection
that's the end of that one. Let's move on to the next one. All right. 20.
Within tribal communities, what constitutes a sacred object or what constitutes an object of cultural patrimony changes over time. So something in 1999 that somebody,
like I was just saying. And so did you guys hear that? Could you guys hear that last clip? I didn't have it on the screen, but hopefully you could hear it. So again, like, think about the way these people are thinking about this stuff and realize that what I just said is 100% true. Anything could become a culturally significant artifact at any time by the word of any native. And so they can't, that would be immoral. It would be a human rights issue if they were to have an image of something that were sacred on display to the public. So in order to prevent that, they have to remove all of it, all the images, all the information on anything and everything. This is the complete and total erasure of our nation's history. Yeah, sorry for not showing the video, but hopefully it was just for a couple seconds there and you could hear it. It doesn't help. I keep clicking on the, to put the video back up and it's like not clicking. I don't know why. I've never had this issue until tonight.
I want to say that I am originally from South Dakota. I'm born and raised on my reservation, Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. So, with that in mind, everything I do, everything I think of, my worldview, perspective, point of view, I'm always going to put my people and the broader indigenous community first in everything I do. So that's what brought me to being involved, or reaching out with Chris and Steve, that I wanted to be involved with DMNS's NAGPRA.
So there you have this guy saying everything he does is through the lens of him being a native. And that is why he got involved with NAGPRA. That is why he got involved with archaeology. So these are activists. These are insane activists with a goal of destroying and erasing all archaeology. And I promise you, I'm not being hyperbolic at all. We'll continue listening to them. It becomes quite clear that that is absolutely their goal. And they've made a hell of a lot of progress towards it. And no one is talking about this. No one gives a shit. Everyone's talking about Göbekli Tepe, one little site. This is in an entire nation's history. Sorry, I'm on the next one. On to the next.
I'm curious as far as I know we do keep, not to ever pat ourselves on the backs or anything, but we do at least have spaces where we can publicly disclose the things that we've repatriated and whatnot. I was curious.
I'm sorry. I was really struggling to contain my laughter there. Are you guys picking up on the smugness, the the fart smelling, and the mentality that's wrapped up in this guy's head? It's really truly something remarkable and insane. Not to pat ourselves on the back too much here, but I know we have lists of artifacts that we've repatriated that we all just love to go look at and feel smug about how much we've taken these archaeological artifacts from archaeologists. To even be thinking about it in the way that he's thinking about it is so unbelievably insane to me. He's like, are there more lists of artifacts that have been repatriated that I can look at so I can feel better about myself, so I can read all the things that we've repatriated so I can feel so good? Just insane to me.
Or at least I've talked to
such a
Steve
twisted way to think.
How some of this information may be a little bit more widespread in the future. Are there any plans to maybe talk more publicly at large in some of our repatriation efforts, or is this something that we're more or less just?
I'm just gonna describe it because fuck it, the ad. But what I was going to continue playing there is the answer to the question, which is the guy going, yeah, if they don't want it mentioned that we've repatriated something, then we don't mention it. So not only is this happening, it's happening in complete and total secrecy. Entire catalogs of artifacts have been wiped out and repatriated and taken from scientific study, and you'll never ever hear about it. It's not documented in any way. It's happening in total secrecy. So that's what he was about to say there, and the ad popped up, so I just said fuck it. And let's go on to the next, which I think is this one. Here we go.
Me, one of the things at the end of the day was recognizing that the ancestors that we're talking about are almost exclusively Native American in museums, right? And some museums will say, nope, we've got non-Native American human remains, which is true, but they're not often 99% Euro-American human remains in these institutions.
Sun chips.
Oh, damn. Oh my God. I'm having a hard time containing my laughter. It gets even crazier. This is a bad time for an ad because this shit's hilarious. Hear this shit.
I'm sorry, what?
So what we wanted to do, one of the things that we wanted to do is not hide behind the cultural affiliation thing, because we knew that they were Native American. We could start there. That's the cultural affiliation. They're not Irish American. They're ancestral to Native Americans. So rather than force the issue into a one-to-one, and a federal agency, in fact, published a one-to-one concordance between modern tribal nations and archaeological cultures, which were defined by the archaeologists without consulting with the tribal nations. I mean, it was literally a one-to-one concordance, and that borders on the absurd.
All right, maybe I missed it. Did he already say it, or is he about to say it? Hold on, there's a really ridiculous clip. I thought it was right here.
Absurd. So really, I haven't talked to any tribal.
Okay, I don't know. Did I just tune it out? Did he say that 99% of the remains in American museums are Native American and there's a word for that. It's called discrimination. Did I just like tune it out somehow? Okay, because that was the clip I was looking for. Are you fucking insane? They're Native American remains because it's in America. Like, what? This is the logic of these people, that we are evil, we are bad, we are morally wrong. This is a human rights issue. The fact that there's Native American remains in American museums is evil, racist discrimination. What the fuck are you saying, you lunatic? These are the people. These are the archaeologists that are supposed to be doing archaeological work, and they are the activists working on destroying archaeology. They think that archaeology is evil. It is a moral imperative for them to destroy it. Where am I at here? 45. I think there might be something. I think that he might still say something crazy. I'm going to let this play for 30 more seconds, and then I'm going to jump to the next part.
Nations that come in and say, all right, you're right, we're not affiliated with them. You can
am I? Yeah, sorry.
just leave them in the museum. The interests are to get these ancestors back in the ground. And so cultural affiliation.
The interest is to get the ancestors back in the ground, as well as all of the artifacts, right? Again, the interest is not to perform archaeology. It is to get rid of everything that they could perform archaeology on.
Is just an arbitrary cultural construct on the legal side of things, rather than truly addressing the cultural issues that are at play. The other thing that I wanted to say is that a lot of people have argued that science is under threat by NAGPRA. And my response to that is that archaeologists, my folks, were doing archaeology without talking to Native Americans for 150 years. That is not good science, right? If you want to know about
it's just, I'm like,
folks that were living in a certain place, you might want to talk to their direct descendants. So science, I would argue, has gotten better because of NAGPRA. Yes, there's litigation. Yes, there's legal issues. Yes, there's all of that kind of stuff. And how dare we say that we're doing a complete archaeology without talking to the people that we know are their descendants? So that's one of the reasons why we've been working so closely with the Zuni and the Yakima in New Mexico on the archaeology that we are doing down there, is because it's their ancestors. It's their.
Yeah, I didn't need to play that whole clip. Whatever. Sorry. I've been pretty on it though with my clips here. That was. I just, the mentality of these people, it is truly, they are on a mission to destroy archaeology, and they are the archaeologists. Like, these are the people who are supposed to be defending this stuff and doing this work, and they're the ones actively seeking to destroy it.
The court of public opinion shifted with the presidential election of 2016, and then again with the murder of George Floyd in 2020. And the seismic shifts in institutional proactivity with regard to repatriation are mind-blowing.
You heard that, right? This isn't me. I'm not saying this. I'm not making these connections. This motherfucker right here just said George fucking Floyd is driving the repatriation efforts. This is these woke fucking insane people who connect George Floyd to archaeology. This is such a big problem. I don't think people are aware of the level of rot that has infected archaeology and anthropology. This is not an exception. This guy is the rule. 90% of archaeologists and anthropologists have the same mindset as this guy right here. They are all actively trying to destroy their own profession from within. Just really, 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 really crazy shit. Really crazy shit. I keep closing the tab instead of whatever. Here we go. I'm getting there. Played that one already. All right. Two more clips.
You could also touch on a little bit of maybe the personal motivations or the feelings behind doing some of this work.
For me?
All of you.
All of us? Okay. For me, it was when I just realized, it's that 99.9% number. Museums are full of Native American ancestors and nobody else.
His motivation behind this was that 99.9% number. I mean, good God, the idea that American museums are full of Native American remains and not other remains, that's just so unforgivable. That has to be, I mean, just true. I keep saying insanity, but like, what do you call this? Is this not a completely crazy psycho person? What the fuck?
And we have a word for that, and it's called discrimination. And so my argument—
That's the clip I was looking. I thought that was earlier, but yes, it's called discrimination. The fact that Native American remains and artifacts are what's on display in American museums, that's called discrimination, folks. Fucking retard.
is that we should curate everybody or we should curate nobody. That was my impetus.
Let's listen to their motivations.
Can you repeat the question? Just kidding.
I had, you know what?
I will say that I had zero knowledge of archaeology or NAGPRA until I got to undergrad at Fort Lewis, and I took a class on a museum class, and then reading these articles.
I had another timestamp for his, but I'm just going to jump
that
to the last guy because I seem to have misplaced the middle guy's timestamp, and I don't want to listen to him for like 5 minutes. So let's just jump to the third guy's.
It's a gift and an opportunity, and the motivation has I think always been to move the needle, however slightly, in the direction of like doing the right thing.
Of doing the right thing. And he started to say of justice, of moving the needle. Again, their mission is to completely erase all of American history. And I accidentally skipped a couple portions in this video. One of the portions I skipped is them talking about going outside of the scope of NAGPRA and applying NAGPRA-like principles to other countries and other countries' artifacts. So their mission is not to stop with America. They're obviously starting with America. They're going to fully erase all of America's history and archaeology. There's another clip in there that I accidentally skipped. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I played it. But they brag about destroying the research, right? They repatriated the artifacts and then they destroyed the research that went along with them. And they were so proud of that. It's not stopping, though, at just America. They're trying to do this to the entire world. And that is their motivation, is to move that needle towards social justice and away from science. Science is not the concern of any of these people. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Y'all can call on in and let me know what you think. But like, this is their own words. Like, I've been saying this stuff is crazy. I've been saying this stuff is happening. Of course, all of the woke lefties are telling me I'm crazy. None of this is happening. This is them talking about it. So, yeah, let me read through chat here. See what you guys are thinking. Yeah, this is a completely normal and standard meeting on NAGPRA. This is not the exception. This is the rule. And this has only gotten significantly worse since the 2024 update. All of this, again, this meeting was like in preparation for that update. They knew an update was coming. They did not know what the update was going to hold. Like, this is before any real specifics or announcements were made, just that an update was coming. So they were like reviewing, their good work that they had done up until that point. Now that the update's gone through, multiply this times 10 at least. It's so much worse. And I just want to stress again, like, they truly have this mentality of archaeology is evil. In what I just skipped in that last clip there, the second person's motivation, part of his motivation is, he says, all archaeologists are white. And so I need it, anyways, it's just, they view archaeology as oppression and as evil and as something that needs to be ended. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't me stretching or misinterpreting or any. They very much, very explicitly view archaeology as evil and needing to be abolished. Yeah, and that's, the other thing is like this only applies to Native Americans and other oppressed groups, right? Like it doesn't apply. There's pagans still that practice paganism. And that's the thing is like, oh, Native Americans still practice these things. Like they're still connected to this stuff. Okay, so are other people in other countries. Like there is a slight difference in America because, Americans were not native to America more than a couple hundred years. But yeah, what about Europe? None of this is ever treated this way in like white European countries. It's this victimizer, victim, mindset and narrative, and it's just this insane woke bullshit. I am about to have an aneurysm like this. Yeah, that was the craziest thing. He goes, man, yeah, when George Floyd happened, there was a noticeable shift in the drive for repatriation. Everyone really went crazy going, we got to repatriate these artifacts for George Floyd. I'm not even joking. That's what he fucking said. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that's what he said, man. I froze. I seem to have frozen. Yeah. Okay, good question. What is wrong with, okay, this is the third time this has happened where my camera has just broken on stream. And the only way for me to fix it is to restart the stream. So you're just going to stare at me like this for the rest of the video. Fuck it. Yeah, so what is wrong with trying to hide the history of boring, dumb people? Another thing that I skipped over here, or no, I don't think I did skip over. He talks about it a little bit, but he talked about it a couple of times in the full video about how there are remains that aren't Native American. He's not talking about remains coming from other countries. He's talking about remains that have been found in America that aren't Native American. And so along with some of the other stuff he said, which I also skipped because I was just trying to like highlight some of the craziest parts. But he goes, they're all Native American, right? Columbus first. So it's all Native American remains, despite the fact that some of them have no genetic relation to modern day natives. And so it's also erasing other history. Like there are other groups of people here. Listen to the interview with Dr. Weiss, right? There were the early America. If we go back 5,000, 7,000, even further back into American history, it was again a very diverse population. It was not this singular Native American population that we've come to understand today. It was a very diverse population with all kinds of different people from all parts of the world. What is up, Mr. Slav? Welcome to the show.
Hey, you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, hey, you know what? Give me 1 second. I'm going to try something. Give me one. And it worked. Yeah, good job, Mr. Laser. I accidentally backed out of the stream the other day, so I know now that won't end the stream. So, okay, good to know, Evolution. Appreciate it. What's up, Slav?
Hey, you hear me fine now?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so obviously the issue at hand is...
You do this every single time you call in, Slav, and I'm starting to think it's trolling. You go, can you hear me fine? And I can, and then as soon as I say yes, you just start ass raping your phone.
Oh, dang. I mean, I'm just using wired headphones with a microphone, but obviously the issue is...
You just take a deep breath.
Yeah, breathe, bro. Hey, you're not the only... I see how you're, like... You're a dude, and I'm not trying to call you emotional. All I'm just saying is you're not alone in how you think, so you can breathe. Just take calm in that.
I do need to take a breath. You're right.
But the thing is, you're not alone, and this isn't the whole thing of like you're seeing, you're seeing voices and hearing faces. You're not doing that. People.
Oh, I know I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Just weird. So this whole thing of this is obviously a control of information and history. That's the problem. My whole thing is, I think I might have said this like a few weeks back. the strategy is not being like bring back the information. I think the strategy now is you seen how people troll on like Twitter to get community notes in. Like for instance, they'll say, "Oh, a certain ethnic group, perished away in the double-digit millions in Europe via one very specific way," right? And then human submitted and robot submitted community notes, right? Response saying, no, not that many people died, and they didn't die all like that, right? I think this is the next unfortunate frontier. Oh god. Dude, these are all funny ass cunt jokes, but yeah, no, I think the problem is just start denying any bad things that ever happened to the red man. Just start doing that.
I mean, that's definitely.
And I think this is what they want from us. I think this is because this all does sound like. Because you were playing that video and it was all white people in there, and I'm guessing.
No, there was the one native guy.
Yeah, on stage.
Yeah,
he just looks like a typical Mexican. I mean, that's kind of what they all are, anyways. But it is getting to the point where it's like they want us to start being like, well, it never happened, and then they're like, well, I think that.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are already there. There's you can go argue with these people. They're readily available to argue with. Go say that Native Americans had slavery, and you'll get 10 people popping up out of nowhere to argue with you.
Oh no, I'm past that. I'm at the point of like, y'all never existed. No, I'm literally like that. Like, you guys never existed. Show me physical proof with my eyeballs. Y'all existed. And
well, there's not going to be any soon.
Yeah, and also this whole like the way they displayed them. Like for instance, was it War Mode or something else I was listening to? They were talking about like so like in the late 1800s. So like after the Civil War and when the Plain Wars were kicking off, more and more of the red men were involved in white society. And what is it? J.P. Morgan, the guy who created the banks, shifting the Jews. He created like he opened parks and museums in New York City and all. And one of his things was he put Indians on display and even took photographs of them across all the lower 48. And a lot of the actual Indians who got photographed, they told newspapers, they're like, yeah, dude, I don't dress like that. Like, I don't wear buckskins and feathers. Like, I don't wear buckskins as clothes. I don't put feathers in my hair, blah, blah, blah. Like, I dress just like you. I get haircuts just like you. I shave just like.
Well, there was a large effort for assimilation, both from the government to assimilate them, and a lot of natives were also wanted to assimilate. Not all of them, definitely not all of them, but a lot did.
Yeah, but this whole is just this showing of like, oh, look what they are. It's like you guys are pointing.
And yeah, and also to same vein of what you're saying is like, oh, we have to treat the natives differently because they still live the same way that they used to thousands of years ago. No, they don't. No, they don't. That's just not true. And it's like even the ones that do try to hold on to that somewhat, like, okay, good for them. It's still not the same, for one. And for two, like, that's just a very small portion of them. It's a very small minority that are actually trying to live in the way that their ancestors lived. It's just a generally untrue statement, but it gets thrown out a lot.
It gets to a point where it's like, oh, well, they're mistreated or they've been poisoned by the white. It's like, dude, I've never seen a teepee have a moonshine still. But somehow that's a problem for them. So it's one or the other. It is a whole thing of like, why am I supposed to, like, I am at the point of like, why am I supposed to treat people as equals to me when their behavior is nothing like I would do, and I have to tolerate them as equal to me. Now, granted, I never had problems.
Yeah,
with the red.
and I mean,
I've
this
never
is
had problems with the red man, but I've had problems with people who don't look like me and don't speak the same languages as me.
But
Yeah,
what you just described is a part of the divide and conquer tactics. Yeah, you give, and it's a part of this, victim narrative, game where you give people power and control, over other people based off of their victim hierarchy. And so, yeah, it breeds even more resentment and all this stuff. And it's just a part of the divide and conquer tactics. It's fucked up, games that the people running our world are playing.
I mean, if I wanted to be nihilist, like to be, an academic nihilist in the sense of, they're taking away the history and they'll never release it back for us to view, or they'll never release back what they actually found the very first times. My whole thing is like, I'm just going to go full kill the other way of, they never existed. They're all fake. They're all inventions. Dude, maybe America might eventually get like hate speech laws, but it's like, bro, you can't even prove what I'm saying is incorrect because of your own actions. This is it is an
See,
it is an unfortunate
you're right
reality.
and you're funny, but where you've gone wrong with this is that proof doesn't matter in this world. The proof does not matter. You said the wrong thing. They don't have to prove anything. It's just the fact that what you said was wrong according to them.
Yeah. So no, that's just my whole thing is like, one, get this word out more. I'm trying my best, Like, dude, so like one of my best friends since high school. He's Choctaw, and I told him he's like, dude, and he told me he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I can't do shit about this. And
Get free college, that's about it.
No, he didn't even take any of that. Like, he has like his whole card and everything, and shows like his percentage on there. But
anyway, Slav, did you have anything else to add, or?
All I'm saying is troll Twitter about the red men the same way people do with numbers about that incident with Jews in Europe. And
I don't think I have enough reach to even get community noted, because they're like, I'm not getting enough views on my tweets yet. But maybe if I try and troll, I can boost those numbers a little.
But you got to troll in the opposite way. You got to say.
No, I understood. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because
but for that to work, I have to have enough people to see the post to then community note it for it to even. You know what I'm saying?
What is it? Well, you're on Twitter. Are you allowed to tag in associations? Because I'm pretty sure reservations and all these engine lands, they all have some sort of social media, and you could just make like a very polite troll, being like, they suffered millions,
I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
300,000 were run over by a train in a single day.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, man. Other than that, bro, just have a Merry Christmas, and all I hope for the new year and the next year is that your word gets, bro. Your energy and investment in this is very I salute you, bro. If I was a homo, I'd jerk you off, but you're not a homo, so it's like you forever to come. But yeah, no, just this this is clear and cut, case about them literally just being like, no, you're not gonna think the way you think because of your eyeballs and the books you read.
Yeah, man, it's become a very prevalent thing. You cannot trust your senses. Do not trust your own senses. Don't trust your common sense. Don't trust your physical senses. Don't trust yourself. Trust the experts. And it's been taken just to such extreme levels. It's really gotten out of control.
And dude, I think you're like a guy like me, I actually have an appreciation for the Indians. Like,
Yeah,
no,
I mean, I have an appreciation for history of anyone and everyone.
Exactly, dude. I take when they say the term noble savage, like I hold it in regard to my heart in a different way than however, we all know who writes the history books and controls publishing.
The Native American lifestyle as it's portrayed
is
like
very
the
diverse.
ultimate fantasy. You're just in a loincloth, running around in nature, killing animals, eating, smoking your jerky, eating delicious berries. Like, that sounds like the dream. That sounds awesome. Kill your enemies, it's like, what else could you want?
And then also it's just the variety. I mean, we're talking Plains Indians are actual savages. The Indians that are in the forests of New England and Appalachia all the way to Florida and the South, they operated all differently. But literally, read anything about Manifest Destiny. As soon as those people got out there, all of those grasslands of the mid-plains, there was it's an ocean of grass. And that ocean of grass kept natives separated. They kept them either north in Canada or south in the deserts of,
all right, man. I'm going to have to.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, though.
Yeah, thanks for the call, dude. Merry Christmas. And I do appreciate what you were saying there at the end, Slav. I try. And, I appreciate you guys too. I don't know if I feel like I don't actually offer any value for the Patreon. So feel free to, unsub from that. I guess it's more of just if you want to support me, that's an option there. But yeah, I'm glad you guys appreciate it. I try to, live up to, I try not to disappoint you guys. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you guys as well. So there was something that Slav mentioned that slightly off topic, but I saw Elon tweet something about Grok, right? You can now push a button on Grok, or you'll soon be able to push a button on Grok where it will improve your post for you. It'll provide sources for your arguments. It'll provide totally new arguments just for you. It'll put the logic and the reasoning and it takes away all of the burden of thought and actually rationalizing all you have to do now is, I have a stance. This is my stance. And then Grok takes all of the actual thought and critical thinking and I keep saying adjectives for the same thing, but it's really concerning. It's really concerning because we already have been dumbed down so much. No one remembers anything anymore because you have Google on your phone in your pocket. You pull it out. You just, I don't need to know anything. It's all right here. I've talked about how totally incapable of navigating I've become without a GPS. It's a very embarrassing thing, especially because I didn't used to be this incapable. I used to be fine at navigating. And now if I don't have a GPS, I'm like, oh no, I'm lost forever now. It's bad. It's really bad. So not only are we doing this for information, but we're now taking just all thought process out, all argument, all reasoning. You can now just go, I have stance, and Grok will formulate the argument for you. This is the direction we're heading. I don't even know if a dystopia that's fully encapsulated this idea has been put forward. I mean, you have WALL-E, and yeah, that's kind of where we're heading, but WALL-E is not even, I don't know what dystopia this is, but this is true zombie mind virus bullshit, true brain death of the human population is what we're heading towards. Obviously Idiocracy, I guess that's the one that I was looking for. But also a more scary version of Idiocracy where you do have, I guess that was pretty much an Idiocracy too, just now with AI. Idiocracy with AI. That's all I'm describing here. That was deep. Thinking is overrated. I think I just proved that with the fucking thought I just tried to have. I thought I was going somewhere deep with that one. But yeah, that's the show, fellas. I know that's absolutely true. I would be able to just listen to everything that those archaeologists said about NAGPRA, and I could do my little golf clap and go, oh my God, pat myself on the back. I could look at the lists. I could look at all the lists of that have been repatriated, and I could just smell my farts while I'm reading this list. Oh, they repatriated and reburied some human shit. Oh, I'm so morally superior. Oh, look at that. They repatriated some corn cobs. I'm going to come. So, yeah, I would definitely be happier with a little less brain. But that's the show, fellas. Hope you had fun. And I'll catch you next week. By the way, I'm pretty sure it's the 12th. I am going to have Marcel Foti on. At least that's the plan. Fingers crossed, right? But he just dropped his book, and I am really genuinely very excited. His theory is really, really cool. It's taken off. So many people are getting involved into this geopolymer game at home. You know, they're making their own rocks. They're testing their own recipes. It's getting very, very cool. So it is not only exciting to have him on, but like I'm having him on at a very exciting time with his research, because he just dropped his book and this stuff is exploding. So hopefully that goes as planned and I get him on the show, because I'm very excited about that. And I really want to talk about it, but I want to wait for him to come on the show to talk about it. So, all right. Merry Christmas, fellas. Merry Christmas. Peace out.